Hey guys, Melvin here. Just wanted to briefly say a few words before the start of this podcast. The first is thank you to everyone who joined us last night. It was a lot of fun, and we appreciate you showing up. Next, and I forgot to do this in the actual podcast itself, but please remember to check out Erika at Tarot Wisdom, her YouTube page, and don't forget to follow her on social media at her Tarot Wisdom on Twitter. Also, don't forget to follow Unexplained Possibilities on Twitter and Facebook. All those links will be in the description below. And if you're interested in catching the next live show, well, you're in luck. The next show will be Sunday, the 19th at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And boy, it's going to be a good one. So that's something you don't want to miss. So until then, enjoy this podcast, guys. Hello and welcome to Unexplained Possibilities Podcast Live. Yes, that is right. We are live streaming and I am a nervous wreck. So if you can't tell by my shaky voice, well, get a hearing aid. I'm your host, Melvin the Crimson Taurus, and unfortunately, not only isn't Rose with me, but two other people aren't with me as well. It was originally supposed to be a five-person panel, but unfortunately, emergencies come up. Rose is at work, nothing new there, and I'm gonna wing a lot of stuff. So, perfect time to do a test on this, isn't it? And also, it appears that OBS is messing up with the stream, but hey, you gotta try something new. So, let me say my little spiel here, which I totally just winged it right now because I had a bunch of other stuff written down I was going to say, but oh well. Alright, so here we go. Tonight's show is a big one. Not only is it live, but we have, or had, a full house rather. As I already said, Rose is at work, so she can't be here, but hopefully she might be able to pop in and say howdy ho. And also, tonight's show, it can be considered a follow-up podcast from the last one we did with Niema. So that should be fun. So we're going to talk about psychedelics and spirituality in this one, however. Now, I wasn't planning on doing a follow-up so soon, but other things fell through. So this has been quite the week for us, but that's no big deal. Anyway, it is time to introduce our guest for tonight. So, first up, I'd like to introduce you to a person who is now making her third appearance on our little podcast here. Yes, that's right. 1, 2, 3. Hopefully, this is not her last time coming on because I bugged her and gave her really, really short notice, but she was very nice about it and decided to pop on anyway. Of course, I am talking about Erika from Tarot Wisdom, Musings of a Modern Day Oracle. Hey, Erika.
Hey, what's up? How are you?
I am nervous as a dog.
Yeah, me too. This is different. It's live, so, you
Yes,
never know what might happen.
and we actually have people watching.
Oh gosh. Talk about pressure.
Yes. Okay. And we have a newcomer onto our podcast tonight. Yes, I was introduced to this person by Niema, the third-eyed mystic, who was supposed to be on, but an emergency came up, so no big deal. But I'm happy to have this person in her place. She's very knowledgeable and spiritual, which fits tonight's topic excellent. I am talking about Miss Spirituality herself, Shay. Hi, Shay.
Hi,
How you doing tonight?
I'm good. A little nervous too.
All right, well, it
Excited.
all fits. Shout out to my friend in the chat room there, Daniel. Yes, I know, I'm nervous. I'm sorry. Okay, so you guys ready to start?
Let's do this.
I am.
Okay, so psychedelics and spirituality, they, for whatever reason, they seem to go hand in hand with one another. Before we go into the connection between them, I have to ask, what is spirituality?
Oh, that's a huge question.
Yes.
Spirituality.
I think it's, to me personally, it's a connection that you feel with something otherworldly, whatever you might want to call that, that which you experience. If you believe in something more than the physical, and however you tap into that, to me, is spirituality. And there's so many ways to do that these days. Obviously, religion is one way some people connect, but then there's other people who really don't follow, some organized religion, and they just seek out, I guess, that connection to the divine in other ways. But it's whatever way, to me, that you find or you seek out that thing which you can't name or grasp or hold within your tangible, physical world. For anybody who believes there's something more than this physical body, then that, to me, is them tapping into their spirituality in whichever way they choose. It really doesn't matter to me. There's so many ways to do that, though. So I think spirituality is so personal. So I'm just speaking for myself and how I see it. Yeah, very personal topic.
Okay, Shay, what about you? What is spirituality for you?
For me, she pretty much hit it on the spot, yeah. Basically, I guess you could say spirituality for me is, tapping into these other realms, being able to do that, as far as, some people, like you said, with religion or whatever, because I'm not really a religious, I'm more spiritual. People seem to get that confused a lot.
I'm happy you said
I
that.
guess.
What is the difference between being religious and being spiritual?
I feel like being religious is more, you hold to one religion, like, hey, I'm Christian or I'm Muslim. And I guess for being spiritual, you don't really claim, a certain religion. So, you kind of, something like that, I guess.
Yeah, I almost feel like you when you're spiritual, you don't limit yourself by labeling yourself anything, if that makes sense.
Okay.
You're more open-minded in the sense that you don't want to limit yourself to one way of believing, because you know that your thinking can change. You might, like, for me personally, obviously, I grew up in a very Christian background, but as I grew up, I started thinking for myself, and I started going down those rabbit holes, and my mindset changed. Everything changed, and I can't label myself or limit my spirituality to one way of believing.
Right.
So
there's too many ways. There's too many religions to say, hey, one's right, one's wrong.
That's right.
Okay, so it sounds like you're saying that, well, number one, spirituality, it's different for everyone.
Yeah, it's a personal journey.
Yeah. So one size does not fit all. Ooh, I almost made a dirty joke. And being more so on the religious side, what you see is what you get,
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
There's also a lot of dogma attached to, and I'm not trying to knock, organized religion or anything, but there seems to be a lot of dogma attached to a lot of religious beliefs. And a lot of times when people leave a certain, organized religion, it's because they want to break free of that, dogma, of that, whatever dogmatic beliefs, that come with it. I think that's part of the reason why I, got out of a certain way of thinking, and I kind of opened my mind, expanded my horizons a bit, was because I just started to see things differently, and I just couldn't be held down by that kind of thinking. I guess I was too free thinking at that point.
So Shay, did that happen to you as well?
Yeah, I kind of, I was raised Christian, but I kind of just got into reading a lot more, and stuff started happening for me differently, like different things that I couldn't really explain. And that's when I got into a lot of reading and stuff like that. And I was never a big person on like religion or anything, but I kind of branched off, and I I listened to what makes sense more for me. So
Okay, so is spirituality also about intuition?
Um, I think, yeah. I mean, it just depends. I almost feel like personally for me, um, you know, intuition goes hand in hand because it's like you're listening to something. I guess I always call intuition like an internal navigation system. And some people are just naturally guided by this. And, some people would say, oh, well, those are my angels speaking to me, or that's, God speaking to me, or um, when all is said and done, it's consciousness speaking to you. We all have that. We're all attached to it or a part of the greater consciousness as well. So, like, to me, intuition is a little bit of both. It's my own spirit speaking to me. It's source or greater consciousness also speaking to me, and I feel led and guided that way. Even when I read the cards, I'm led to read them according to that internal navigation system. I see what I see, I feel what I feel when I read them, and that to me is what has guided me through life on my journey up until this point. It hasn't let me down, so I have to just listen to it. So yeah.
Well, that works for me. And Shay, we were actually speaking when we were doing some test runs with the stream on
mhm.
how you're able to actually astral project, right?
Yeah, and
And
I guess sometimes I'm more of like it kind of happens, It's happened like maybe like twice or a couple times here and there.
okay, now what I was getting at was, would astral projection, is that something that comes from a type of spiritual awakening, or is it something that anyone can do? What is that?
I think that I mean it's a possibility for anyone, it can happen to anyone. Yeah, it's some people it might happen to, and they might think, oh, a lot of people get a lot of negative feedback from what is actually going on versus what should be told to them, or they're not aware of. I mean, yeah, anybody can do it if they really believe it. So
Okay, so a mind over matter type thing.
yeah,
But I'm assuming you'd also need an understanding of yourself too, because I mean, I don't,
right.
yeah, I can't just see someone eating a bucket of chicken just boof. I mean, it could happen. You never know. But, but I do know a lot of spiritually awakened people. They astral project. Sometimes it happens at random, and then other times they can do it on demand. I
Mhm.
am
Yeah.
neither. Okay, now let's talk about the mix here between spirituality and psychedelics a little bit. Firstly, what are psychedelics?
Mm. Psychedelics are, I think, a shortcut
Yeah.
to open up or to release DMT, which is dimethyltryptamine. I think that's what it's called.
Yeah. We
It's
should
already,
produce that in the body,
yeah, it's already in the
actually.
brain. But to me, it's like a shortcut. It's an easier way to get there. It's so much harder to drop the ego self and, get to that high pinnacle point where you can get to this place naturally. It's usually um, it's difficult because we have all these physical things all around us. But when we take psychoactives, it kind of helps us take that journey that much quicker and reach that state that much faster.
Okay.
Yeah,
And
I agree with her.
Okay, so I have to switch it up in terms my little dumb brain understands. So essentially, it's like you have a car, and instead of making it all engine, you put a turbocharger on it.
there you go.
Okay, okay. So, uh, have any of you done psychedelics?
Me
I
personally,
have.
I have not. That is like, and I'll be completely honest when I say this, that is on a bucket list thing to do. whether it be ayahuasca or a psilocybin or something like that. I feel like I've gotten to a place in my spiritual journey that I feel like I should at least experience that once. So no, I haven't, but it's on the to-do list.
Okay. What about you, Shay?
Yeah, I have experienced a little with mushrooms. Yeah,
Okay.
so those can be shapes you. You can make it makes you question, the world, and why don't we see this stuff on the regular?
Now, I asked Niema this question last podcast, so I'm going to ask you. Can you take us through a shroom trip?
Take us through a shroom trip.
Yeah, what do you see or experience if you can describe it at all?
Okay, well, say we're walking outside and it's dark and there's no clouds out and everything seems a lot brighter, more vibrant as far as color-wise and stuff like that. And if you look up to the sky, you'll see the stars, and it looks like all the stars are like lining up together, like kind of like a spider web. So it looks like they're all lined up, all the stars are lined up. So almost like all connected, right? There was that, and then there's plants. They look like they're actually alive.
What do you mean
Everything
by
seems like
what do you mean by alive?
the plants almost look like they're breathing.
Oh,
Like
You
they
can,
have their own
yeah,
like energy, kind of.
it's
But
like you can see their sentience. I've heard people
yeah,
describe it this way. You can see their sentience and you can see their vibration and their energy. Like you come to realize with like obviously you can't see this in a normal state, but you realize that everything is alive, breathing, and has a spirit. It's kind of like animism in that sense. Everything has a
yeah.
spirit.
And then for me, like sometimes when I do that, I can see people's auras really easily, or it's like a light around. But some people I can see it, sometimes I can't. But when I'm on psychedelics and then when I'm not, I can see it actually too. But sometimes you can see, there's like an outline around the person, kind of. Yeah, when psychedelics are used or whatever, I get like I don't know, a spiritual sense.
That's pretty
But
trippy.
you can see, yeah.
No pun intended there.
Sometimes if you're like sometimes some stuff can look a little cartoon characterish a little bit. And when I say that, I mean like, just like the outline of a person, or how the trees are breathing, everything has a little bit of life in it.
Okay. The psychedelics can act as a shortcut into spirituality and such. Now, do you find that when you become spiritual, actually, you know what? Here's a better question. What was your spiritual awakening like? What was the moment where you just started to view everything much differently and you just said, it's more to it than what we're seeing?
In what aspect, I
In the
guess?
aspect of life.
Life.
That's not helpful.
That's a huge question. And I think it's because
Yeah.
everybody's journey or everybody's awakening is so much different. It's so personal.
Mhm.
It could just be anything really that will make you open up your eyes and be like, hold up, wait a minute. And I hate to kind of refer this to tarot, but it's kind of like your tower moment where something shakes you up, something shocks you, something snaps you awake. And then you're like, where the hell have I been all my life? And then you start going down those rabbit holes. I mean, for me, it was books. Books were always, my problem, good and bad in a sense. That's how I just got on so many different topics and started learning about so many different things. It's because I was just curious. My curiosity is
Mhm.
what woke me up, I think, to a lot of things.
Yeah.
So curiosity is key and it will not kill the
Yes.
cat.
No, it'll just take you down many rabbit holes that you will realize you will never get out of in your lifetime.
I shall remember that. Uh, so, is it possible to be both religious and spiritual?
I don't know. I guess I don't know.
I think you could be. but I think you have to be in a really good place not to you could believe what you believe, whatever doctrine that may be, but I also think that in order to tap into the more spiritual aspects of life, you have to be very open-minded at the same time too, and not think that your way is
Yeah.
the highway per se.
Right. You can't really put a limit on something,
Okay, so
you know.
open-mindedness, that seems to be a key word for a lot of stuff. I mean, I suppose you can't get anywhere with a closed mind because you're only going to see
No,
things one way.
that's right.
And I'm
Yeah, and I find people that I sorry, I find people that are religious about it seem to put a cap on it, you know. So I don't know.
And
I
sometimes
mean,
what go ahead.
yeah. No, you can go.
No, I've from what I've experienced is where they think such things as psychoactives, like shrooms slash psilocybins, mushrooms, stuff like that is like, oh, you don't mess with that. You don't want to open your third eye. You don't want to raise your kundalini. No, you don't want to do that. You don't want to meditate. You don't want to astral project because you'll run into demons in another realm. And there's a lot of things attached, negative associations attached to some of the methods of spirituality that Shay and I, let's say, would tap into, if that makes sense. And that's why I think it's just because they haven't opened up their mind enough to educate themselves. So instead, they will put the brakes on any possibility outside of their own belief.
Yeah, people tend to put the brakes on stuff that they don't understand.
Hmm.
You mentioned something that I know a lot of people are aware of, perhaps for the wrong reasons, but you said the third eye, which is
Hmm.
also it's found in the pineal gland. I believe that's how you say it. So it's
Yes.
like a spot between your eyes, a little above it. And this is also where DMT is, well,
Released. Yeah.
it's released, yes. And it's a lot of mysteries with this thing. I don't
Hmm.
quite understand it, but I know people who are open, they always say you have to open up your third eye, and once you do, you'll see the world in a different light. So, what is this third eye? What makes it so special?
Who wants to go first?
Mm, I guess for the third eye, for me is my experience of my own. For me, that's how I got into the whole spiritual thing, reading about the third eye and stuff like that. Um, I feel like the third eye like has its own like heartbeat, something like that. For me personally.
Oh, wow, I have never heard it put
Uh,
that way before. Oh, yes, please
That's
continue this.
that's a good way of putting it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess it's for me like I don't know. I was about a couple years back, and I did a lot of reading and stuff like that, and I didn't know what was like wrong with. I thought something was wrong with me at first. I was like, I don't know what's wrong with me. And for me, I feel like it feels like you have to if you drop a penny in the pool and you feel like the vibrations around the penny when it float out. That's what it inside my head. That's what it feels like as kind of like a heartbeat. That's like for me. I know it's like kind of weird, but
Oh, no, it sounds like you're saying that it's a part of you and it's a living part of you. And like all living things, you have to grow and learn. So, in that sense, that awakening was like the heart starting up. Or at least that's what I'm getting from it. I could be interpreting it totally wrong.
yeah. No, yeah, you're right. And when I say heartbeat, like I do feel in the center of my brain, I feel like feels like a wave, like a brain wave or something. That I can feel it. So that was kind of like my experience of like the third eye awakening and stuff like that.
Yeah, the third eye for me, like obviously it's that point in the middle of your forehead there. It does vibrate for me.
Mhm.
It kind of hums when it's activated. You'll know there's really no denying it when it's awakened. And there's so much mystery, mysticism, and all that attached to the third eye. Um, Basically, it's I'm sure you've heard of when like your kundalini is rising. That's when the spinal fluid in your 33 vertebrae starts rising up, and it reaches the pineal gland. And that's when it's kind of like a mini death and resurrection in that way, in a sense. And that's what people would call like your Christ consciousness is reached. And if you think about it, speaking of spirituality, Jesus died at the age of 33. There are 33 vertebrae in the spine. And when the spinal fluid is basically tapped, it rises up through all your chakras and then activates your pineal gland. And usually that's achieved in meditation.
Yeah, like the thought.
I think I'm gonna have to learn how to meditate.
Yeah, it's interesting stuff.
That was my experience of awakening. I don't know, the vibrations just came to me one day in my head for kind of like heartbeat, and at first I thought there was something wrong with me. Then I started reading more and more. That's how I got into spirituality and stuff like that, reading and finding that there's other people out there that have that same thing going on.
That's weird. So you guys have that in common. You enjoy reading. You have a heartbeat in your head. Not trying to be rude there, but you, you got that going. And something else you guys actually have in common, and I don't know if you sense it or not, but you both have very calming energy.
That's awesome.
Well, darn.
No, I mean, it's like, because I had such a crazy energetic day. So that's kind of nice that you said that. I actually am calming down right now.
Yeah, no, you both have very calm, cool energy, which is rubbing off on me. Thank you. So, because I needed it.
Awesome.
So, but yeah, you guys actually have that in common. And I don't know if you noticed it or not, but I did. So, and I'm the big boss man of this show. So, yeah. All right. Okay, so since we're actually talking about Kundalini, now you said that actually comes from the spine and it works its way up, right?
Yes. Uh-huh.
Now, does that have anything to do with chakras?
Yep. Yeah. It's basically when all your chakras are activated, and then the spinal fluid rises up from the bottom of the spine, or the bottom of the spine, all the way up until it taps into your pineal gland.
Okay. Now, can you use psychedelics to activate your chakras?
Good question. It kind of, yeah, I don't know. See, I don't know. I haven't taken any psychoactives to know if it would be similar.
Shay?
Experience, at least.
No, would they open up your chakra?
I mean, it would probably change your way of thinking, and it's possible for you to, open up your chakras, but I mean, it just depends on the person and what they pay attention to, and how they see it, I guess.
Okay.
But yeah, it's possible.
All right, I think we're going to have to do an experiment one day. Erika, we'll
You know
test
what?
it on you.
Yeah, when I have that experience, I'll let you know if it's I guess the differences or the similarities, or if it's one and the same.
Okay. Now, something else that I've noticed that's huge with people who claim to be spiritual, and I don't quite understand it, even though I've been researching it and speaking to folks who actually do it, but I think it's pronounced Reiki or Reiki?
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 Uh-huh.
What is Reiki? And what is its connection to anything at this point? Spirituality, psychedelics, living?
I don't think it's personally connected to psychoactives, but I think it is definitely connected to spirituality. It's basically energy, using your energy in maybe hands-on healing in a way, sometimes even distance healing. My stepmother is a Reiki master, so I know of it and about it through her. I actually took level 1 and level 2 Reiki. I'm not practicing, but I am activated, so through her. But as far as it being related to any kind of psychoactive, no. Just spirituality, yes, definitely.
Okay. Shay, do you know about Reiki?
I've never really experienced like Reiki and things like that, but I've heard things about it, but no, not me personally.
Okay. Now, what about crystal healing?
Crystal healing? I have crystals, but I don't, as far as healing goes, no, I'm not experienced in crystals. I mean, I have a lot of crystals, but as far as like black tourmaline, I have a lot of that and stuff like that, but not a lot of crystal healing. What about you though?
Well, Reiki and crystal healing can go together. It's basically knowing the different properties of each crystal and using them to address certain areas of the body for whatever healing they're associated with.
Oh, okay. So it helps pinpoint.
Yes.
Okay. Now, we're going to jump ship from a lot of the spirituality talk, and we're going to go into the psychedelics a bit more, but it's going to be one particular psychedelic that Erika is probably one of your favorites to talk about. And
yes.
that is Amanita muscaria. I think I said that right. I've been practicing.
Yeah, I've always been a little bit tough with that last part too. I always say muscaria, but I could be saying it wrong. It's Amanita muscaria. It's everybody knows this mushroom. They probably don't know the name of it, but they definitely know what it looks like. It's with a white stipe or stem and a red cap with white dots, and it's also called the fly agaric. It is a psychoactive, and you've seen that mushroom on Mario Brothers, the video game. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, Miyamoto, man, he was taking shrooms
yep,
and he was making
that's right. You've probably seen it in Alice in Wonderland. And then on a lot of Christmas ornaments and cards, especially vintage ones. Definitely one that we're familiar with, at least by sight.
Shay, are you familiar with it?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Me personally, I've never used that specific one. The psilocybin that I've used, they're more like a tannish color with like blue stemish, the blue purplish stem.
Yeah, the blue purple comes from when they're bruised, I think.
Okay, well, this is I know nothing about any shrooms, so you're gonna have to educate me on this.
Psilocybin, the psilocybin that Shay is talking about actually grows on cow patties. You can find them, and look, here I am educating people on how to find shrooms in the wild, but I do go mushroom hunting, wild foraging, but it's for just to study them and look at them and compare them to my field guides, not to consume and not to get high on. But psilocybins are usually grown in like fields where cow patties are, so any kind of like farming or, yeah, you could find them on a farm somewhere or a pasture or a flat prairie of some sort. That's where they grow. The funny thing about those is that since they grow on poo, it kind of makes you wonder about like other cultures who revere cows as sacred.
Yeah, like Hinduism.
Exactly. So it makes you wonder, like why is a cow so sacred? Well, it's because if it wasn't for that cow, it wouldn't grow that shroom, which leads you to this transcendental experience.
That's one way to look at it. I never really thought about it that way. And, I probably should have put a disclaimer at the beginning of this. We do not encourage you to go out and pick random mushrooms up and eat them or smoke them, or
No, it's very dangerous.
Yeah, please don't do that. And if you do, well, don't blame it on me. I warned you. So, yeah, that's a big no-no.
Yeah, very dangerous. You don't know what you're picking. You don't know what you're getting your hands on. There's a lot of poisonous ones out there, and you don't want to make a mistake.
All right. So now back to Amanita. What a name.
Muscaria
Muscaria
slash fly agaric.
slash fly agaric.
Yeah.
It seems to have quite the effect on people, and it somewhat transports them to another world to a certain degree, anyway. And I'm wondering if these. Oh yeah, and that's the funny thing too. All of this is it's natural, you know. This is not man-made synthetic stuff, you
That's
know,
right. Yeah.
which is something I love. But I'm wondering if, like, not only is it a shortcut, but it is quite literally taking your soul to a different dimensional plane.
Or helping you see it from a different perspective, even. The weird thing about the Amanita is that it has a totally different, from what I've read and educated myself on, it has a totally different effect than your psilocybin. The crazy thing about Amanita is that it gives a sensation of flying, and it also gives a sensation of like growing bigger or smaller, and that'll remind you back to Mario Brothers when
Of
you get that
course.
extra man. He grows bigger and he's able to fly, right? It also goes back to, I guess, old stories of Siberian shamans who used to pick the Amanita, and they used to hang them in stockings to dry. They used to also hang them in conifer trees or pine trees to dry as well, while they were picking other ones, because the weight of the mushrooms would weigh down their bag. The Siberian shamans used to also drop them down the openings of yurts or chimneys, as a winter solstice gift. So that's where you get your Santa Claus, and that's why Santa Claus is dressed in red and white. But I'll go back to the flying part because the reindeer in the wild eat them, and it gives them this sensation. So that's where you get the whole Santa and flying reindeer thing. That we all, grew up loving. So it's the sensation is totally different than your regular, your more well-known psilocybin mushroom. The problem with it, though, is that Amanita has a really bad side effect of really, really bad nausea. And unfortunately for us as humans, we experience that nausea before we get the high.
Oh,
Reindeer don't have to go through that though. Their stomachs are like, hard as rocks.
lucky little
Um,
buggers.
yeah, there are several ways to bypass that, but it takes fermentation, and it's a process of fermentation that you really got to know what you're doing. Otherwise, you can get really sick.
Okay. Shay, have you ever gotten sick from shrooms?
Not necessarily sick, but they're hard to take down. You get like, cause essentially it's like a fungus, so you're eating a fungus, so you get like a little tummy ache or whatever that feel a little nauseated for a little while and then it'll go away. Or if you eat like a lot, you might puke. So
Okay.
yes, I have thrown that before, but it doesn't last very long. But yes, you gotta be careful with that.
Okay, yes. When was the last time you took some shrooms?
Um, last time was like let's say a week ago.
Okay.
Nice.
And
And you didn't invite me?
and that leads up to this follow-up question. Why do you take them? Or use them rather?
I like to take them for like spiritual practice. Um, when I'm coming down off them or whatever, my body is very still and it helps me to astral project. Or either it'll help me to like connect to other realms or other I don't know, call them light bodies or different spirits, to talk to spirits or communicate. I wouldn't say talk, but to kind of communicate with other realms.
Okay, so you know what? That actually reminds me of something that Terrence McKenna would do when he took DMT. He would say that he would speak to inanimate objects or elf like people. And, when I first
And I,
heard it, I thought it was like, man, what a wicked high. But after doing after doing research and really learning about this, you know, you develop some you develop something where you're just so open, more open than what you were, that, it's I can see how people are able to communicate with different beings, whether they be interdimensional or deceased relatives, whatever. I can see that. And is this something that you were always able to do, or it was enhanced with through the use of the mushrooms?
well, it's kind of like a mix because before I ever did the mushrooms or whatever, I could I guess I've been kind of like an open channel for to talk to the spirit realm or communicate. Or like when I sleep a lot, and I'm dreaming, for instance, I've gone to places and I've just been there alone. Like I know it was like just dreaming. It was kind of like a different place and a different time. So some of the stuff I've been able to do before, but yeah, I guess it enhanced it a little bit more. Um, I have a little bit more control because when I'm not, sometimes I can, just end up in a different realm, or sometimes like I don't know. I guess yeah, you're right. I guess it can control it a little bit better.
I might sound crazy asking this. What do you see when you're in this realm?
It's like one time I was in a different place and I had actually seen one of my friends that had passed away. The floor was like really dry. Like you ever see mud dry up and it's like cracked?
Oh
I seen like
yeah.
right like a dry place like that. And there's a tree and it had no tree branches, and I just seen my friend was just standing there. And there's no communication. We just looked at each other. That was one time, and another time I seen like I think it was the same place, but it was with a different being, like not facing me, but just sitting down, and I couldn't see the face, and like that. It just was like a summer day, under the tree and stuff like that. And I also have this same dream, or astral projection, I think, or lucid dream. I'm not sure if this is in the same place, but I keep seeing like this garden, like this garden place, like a maze, and I've had this dream a couple of times. Like I'm just there alone. It's really dark, so I don't know.
I know
So,
that's why they say you should be in a really good place, like in mind, heart, and spirit before you take any kind of
Yeah.
shrooms, because you don't want to end up when you get to this very open place where your mind is seeing other
Mhm.
realms and other vibrations and other sentient things that we wouldn't normally think of as sentient. You don't want to be in the wrong state of mind when you take shrooms, because you can literally have a bad trip. So you want to be in a really good
Yeah,
place.
and these are just like stuff that these dreams that I've had. These were all when I wasn't on anything though. So,
oh wow.
but yeah, you're right. So not on anything.
Oh, okay. So lucid dreaming, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, have you ever been on a
Uh,
bad trip?
I wouldn't say no, not really. Like, not a bad trip. It's basically like however you like, how your personality is. It's to me 3 times more enhanced. So if you're having a bad day and you take it, then we might have like a bad like experience. If you're like arguing with somebody in your dream, you might have like everything just 3 times more enhanced. So you gotta know how to be in control and be relaxed and stuff like that. But I don't think I've ever had like a bad trip though.
Okay, that's good. We don't want you to have one.
No.
Absolutely. Okay, so that brings me to something that is widely used in Peru and the Amazon in general by indigenous cultures. And it's kind of a, well, Benny calls it a psychedelic smoothie of epic proportions. And
Nice.
it's I know I'm gonna butcher this name. I already know it, but I believe it's called ayahuasca.
Ayahuasca?
Oh, ayahuasca.
Yes.
Okay.
Ayahuasca.
I oh, so you both know of it.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Oh,
I've
wow.
never got the chance to see it, but yeah.
And here I am thinking, oh, okay, I'm gonna one up these women, man. I got this. Nope. Okay, so I how do you say it again? Ayahuasca?
Ayahuasca.
hmm
Ayahuasca. It's a couple of different mixtures and it's brewed together and it has a good portion of DMT in it, I would say anyway. And DMT, uh, Erica, can you say what it is again? What DMT stands for? Because you said it's so
Uh,
excellent.
I think it's dimethyltryptamine, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah, don't quote.
Dimethyltryptamine, yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay. I
you
always
said
doubt
it
myself.
right.
yeah, that stuff that I tried to say one time and that was enough. So it has DMT and it's a decent portion and it's crazy because when people drink that stuff, they, of course, if you drink too much, you're gonna get a stomach ache, you could puke, you're gonna have nausea. Some nasty things can happen if you take too much, but everyone has said the same freaking thing, and that was they've had some type of spiritual awakening and they've gained access to higher dimensions and insights on how to be a better them. Like, and they've just had a rebirth into life. What?
Maybe that's what everybody needs to do so the world could be a better place.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I was gonna say, what do you think about that?
I think I just pretty
What do
much
you,
said it.
Yeah,
For me personally, at least. Yeah, I think everybody maybe needs to see that we're all connected, that everything's connected, that we're all humming with, a certain vibration or frequency from the plants to the earth beneath our feet to the neighbor next door to, did I say plants and animals? Um,
you did now. If you
everything's
did,
connected. So,
yes. If you like do like I read this book, DMT, The Spirit Molecule. That's a really good book to read. But they talked about, how shrooms are legal and stuff like that, and why do they have them that they're legal?
yeah.
And a lot of people don't want us to, like the government stuff like that. They don't want us to, know about these different things and stuff like that. And I think that's why they're illegal. I think a lot of people don't want us to know about this other stuff because they're scared and they don't know how to handle it and stuff like that. So, with them being illegal, just, I don't know, it says a lot about the place we live at.
uh,
So,
Yeah, that they would choose to or make it illegal from us
okay.
is kind of sad. It's a disservice to the world, I think.
Now you're heading into
right.
territory I
And,
know about with conspiracies and stuff here. Yes.
I'm a big
and
conspiracy girl
then,
too.
I do have a theory on that though. I do believe that, and I'm going to use the U.S., United States, as an example because this is where we live. I think that the government, they're just, okay, how does a government come into power? Well, people,
Control.
yeah, exactly. Control, people put them into power. It's like, okay, they have money and all that stuff, and people's ignorance. Because let's face it, us as a country, we don't pay enough attention to what our chosen leaders, as they want to be, as some people put it, are doing. And if you make every single thing that will give you insight or that will help awaken you to view the world in a different perspective, that will make you question things, it's a threat. That simple. It's a threat.
It'll keep it'll keep you dumbed
yeah,
down.
Yeah,
It'll dumb you down a lot.
that's the
That's
thing.
for sure.
You know, and they don't want that to happen, which I laugh about. I'm like, I don't understand. Even though I don't do uh, shrooms, I'm not against it. or any type of psychedelic or whatever. I always say a person can do whatever they want. That's your choice. If it
Yeah,
helps you, it helps you. If it doesn't, well, again, it's your choice. But
yeah. I mean,
something so natural that our ancestors used to gain insight, why is it considered so bad, aside from the fact that you'll view things differently and you become a threat to that power structure?
now I'll give you an example of that. Um, it's not just, let's say, government, but, and I'll go back to religion. Well, religion is also tied into, I think, our spirituality as well. But that's one way to control our spirituality, is to kind of take those experiences from us. When you think about Ash Wednesday in Catholicism, they always take the black ashes and put it on your forehead, but it's to cover your third eye. Do you see what I mean?
Yep.
They don't want that open. Trust me, they don't.
Yeah, that makes
sense. No, we see the truth when it is open. If you think about, there are 13th century French frescoes depicting the Amanita muscaria as the tree of knowledge and wisdom, which obviously, through that transcendental experience will open up and provide gnosis to whoever experiences it. I'm assuming Adam and Eve, they didn't have an apple. In my eyes, they probably were tripping on shrooms. And that's how they woke up to the truth of life.
Yeah, I can see that. Like Eve's tripping out. Yo, Adam, you gotta see this, man.
Yeah. It's crazy how it's not a tree. It's actually the mushroom on this one piece of art. And not only just that one fresco, but there are also stained glass art depictions in some Catholic churches in Europe, which also depict the psilocybins and the Amanita. So it kind of makes you wonder,
Yeah, it does. And it should make you wonder. I mean,
yeah.
I'm going severely off topic here, but if it's one thing that I want our little podcast here to do for people is to question things. I mean, you don't necessarily have to believe anything I'm saying or our guests may say. You don't have to say aliens don't exist or ghosts or figments of your imagination. Well, fine, but I just want you to ask yourselves, what if? That's it.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's always that what if.
I have a book recommendation for you guys. I know Shay recommended a book. I would recommend anybody who's interested in mushrooms and psilocybin and the transcendental experiences attached to them to look up John Marco Allegro. He wrote a book called The Sacred Mushroom and the Cross. He also wrote the Dead Sea Scrolls and the Christian Myth. He's very intelligent in regards to the subject. He's the one who actually pieced some of these little things together. As far as the mushrooms in Christianity and stuff like that. So that would be good reading material for anybody who's curious.
Okay, you guys got that? So you have 2 book recommendations here. I'm expecting everyone to read. Oh, I sound like a parent. Young man, did you read that book? Okay, Shay, I actually have a question for you. And this one might be a biggie. What got you into shrooms first?
I don't know, I guess reading them, and then I just happened to know somebody along the way that passed it. Okay. I did a lot of reading, first it was spirituality that got me with the vibrations and stuff like that, and, I started reading and doing all this research, there's DMT, and the methotriptamine, and stuff that we naturally produce in our body, and stuff that was in the shroom that we already had in our body. So, I didn't think that, it would be bad, because if we already naturally produce that, then how would it feel with more DMT in your body? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to have that experience, and I said, well, if we already have it, then and it's natural, and it shouldn't be so bad. And, so I guess having it in your body already kind of made me want to do that because it was natural. So
okay, and this brings the follow-up. where do you think you would be if you never did shrooms now? Do you think you would be as open as you are, or do you think you would be more closed off?
It's hard to say because before I did it, I was like pretty much the same,
Oh, wow. Okay.
just without. I guess yeah, it was the same. I mean, I still had the dream and stuff like that and all that stuff. But I guess with this, I would have never had that, experience and stuff like that. I guess when I am using or whatever, it's maybe a little bit easier to um like have visuals of uh to talk to different people, different realms. It's a little bit easier, you know, but pretty much the same, I guess.
There's a comment that I just saw, and it says, "Can you explain more on the third eye, or would this be for another time?" Would you guys be up for going back to the third eye topic for a second?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, throughout time, it has been blocked, whether it be from distractions, it could be from, oh yes, Eye of Osiris. Thank you. I did hear that one at one point, so thank you. It has been blocked over time, and whether it be due to distractions on TV, the internet, that's a huge one now, or even chemicals that's in the things that we eat that just it stops us from
Yeah.
viewing things the way it
Like,
should.
like
Whereas,
calcification of the pineal gland.
oh yeah, go ahead, Shay, you're on it.
Yeah, like fluoride that's in mostly everything we eat that calcifies the pineal gland. So that's one of the big things that you'll see. Like in the fluoride, you'll see like in toothpaste and stuff like that. You can actually get there's a toothpaste that you can get where it'll say no fluoride in it, fluoride free. I started doing that too. I started stop using the regular toothpaste and I use the fluoride free one and stuff like that. So
Yeah. Yeah, you don't want to, obviously your pineal gets calcified over time. Um,
uh-huh.
and one way to keep that from happening is to continually activate, that, like I said, the spinal fluid uh, in your spine, which will activate your kundalini, which will activate all your chakras, which will eventually get to the pineal gland, and open up your third eye. So as long as you keep that flowing, you should be okay too,
And
to keep that
hence,
from happening.
yeah, and that's goes back to meditation. And
That's right.
also in Taoism, I believe they practice Zen to keep the third eye open. And of course, they didn't call it the third eye. They called it something else in Taoism. I think they just said mind's eye. I am not 100%, do not quote me on that, but Zen meditation they would use for training, and what that is basically you're focusing on one solemn thing. It's a pretty interesting technique. It's very difficult, but Zen Buddhists are amazing at it.
And I
Oh,
guess you could say like with that too, I feel like when you do psilocybin that, it's kind of like you decalcifying your pineal gland a little bit when you do the swims and stuff like that.
It's amazing. Like, there's so many things that I feel like are hidden from us. Like I
Uh-huh.
said, with the whole covering the third eye with Ash Wednesday, covering that part of your forehead. It's almost symbolism in a way, and it's not just that. It's just like you said, with
And
all the
what did
things
you say
that
that?
are in our food
What did
too.
you say that? That?
In
What did you say that?
Catholicism,
That?
like
Oh.
Ash Wednesday, where they take the
Mhm.
ashes and they block, or they put it on your forehead, and it's really symbolism of blocking that area, which could open you up and
Yeah.
awaken you to have this gnosis.
Yeah.
So
And so I was actually curious. I was gonna do some research and um in India, they have a little dot on the middle of their head and stuff like
yeah.
that. I'm curious to read a little bit more about that and see what their perspective on it is.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you know anything about that or not.
No, I don't actually, but
Okay.
I'm pretty sure it relates to the same thing. I
Well,
think it doesn't have
Mm-hmm.
the same meaning as the black, though. The black ash.
actually, that's not quite true. The dot symbolizes, like, unlike Western cultures, because these guys
Mm-hmm.
are actually intelligent. You know, when you get married, you usually wear a wedding ring or wedding
Ah,
band.
okay, gotcha.
Yeah, the dot tends to symbolize if a woman's taken or not.
Okay.
So,
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm not.
but yeah, and that's what I was saying. It definitely doesn't mean the same as that black ash on your forehead.
Yeah,
So.
so
Yeah. I was just out of curiosity. I just wanted to know if you guys knew anything.
yeah, so
Yeah, I didn't know anything about that.
yeah, so it's a good system. It probably saves guys a lot. You know, it's like, oh yeah, there's a dot. Well, moving on. So
What's the first thing you see?
Right?
Yeah, your face, I think.
okay, so terribly sorry about that technical difficulty
Okay.
I had.
Yeah, we need your guidance. We don't know where we're going. So I'm
Oh,
glad you're back.
well, no, you're probably doing fine without me. But we're coming close to the wrap up of the show, and we have about 15 minutes left. Okay, so this is going to come out of left field for both of you guys, but speaking to other people who will probably probably be future guests on here, they actually consider themselves astral warriors, you know, which is cool. I think it sounds awesome. Could be an anime. And they say that there are people and beings who are able to actually attack them with a type of energy. What do you think about that? A
Do you
negative
mean like
energy, that is.
vampire sucker?
Well, not necessarily vampires, but they're saying that
Well,
these.
not that. But energy sucker.
I guess you could say that. I'm not entirely sure what they would say, but they say that being spiritual and being open, yeah, being spiritual and being open, it attracts all types of energy. And this just happens to be negative, and it attacks them trying to, I guess, bring them down and shut them off.
Um, well, empaths go through that a lot. There are energy vampires out there. And it's basically like, I'll give you an example. I go to work every day. I deal with people every day. Trust me, I carry that with me, and I have to kind of shake that off because it's not mine. It's not my mess. It's not my monkey, basically. But a lot of times, since I'm so sensitive, that energy, I can feel that on me at the end of the day, and I have to kind of shake that off when I get home. So if that's what you mean, it's something like that, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah. When I was younger, I was always like a child that liked to be alone. You know, I would have birthdays and I would, like, for example, I had one birthday and I had like probably like 25 people there. It's probably like 10, and I left the party. Like, I went in my room, shut the door, and everybody was in the living room. So stuff like that. Like, yeah, I'm not really a person that likes to be in big crowds and stuff like that.
Yep,
So,
definitely.
and this was like when I was like 10. You know, I'm in his first birthday party, and I go lock myself in the closet, and so yeah, so.
I don't think it's so much like a social anxiety, though. It's more like you need that solitude to almost like reboot because people in general drain you. Places with a lot of people, just the energy is so much, it's too much, and you're so sensitive that you feel it, and it's hard to shake off, let's say. For me personally, the way that I decompress or kind of reboot is going out in nature. I need that. Like, that is my salvation. Otherwise, I don't know how I could handle Monday through Friday at work because of that.
Yeah.
Sometimes I do want to do that, lock myself in a closet or crawl under a rock, get away from people.
Yeah, take a walk,
Mm-hmm.
Erika, and everyone who knows you or at least follows you on social media, we know for a fact you're a very nature lady. Like
Yes.
you're taking hikes, you're looking at trees. So you guys can know she has a very interesting love with trees. I'm not saying anything's wrong
Plants.
with it. I'm just saying,
Plants and herbs
yeah, it's
and mushrooms.
it's very interesting, but it's something we need more of, to be honest with
Yeah.
you. When you're out in nature, do you just feel
Yeah, definitely. It's almost like it feels like the way life should be, if that makes sense to anyone. Um, it's like its own living, breathing energy. Like the atmosphere is alive. It's clean. It's just humming with so much. Yeah. And it feels like that's the way we used to be as humans. We were more connected to nature. Now we're in cities that have concrete and less trees, and we're not living in a very organic environment anymore. We're disconnected from that, and we forget about that because we're so used to the everyday, hustle and bustle that now has become life. When before, even just 100, 200 years ago, we were that much more connected to the land. We survived, by the land. Now everything's almost done for us. What need do we have for it, I guess, is the question. Most of us, we don't feel that we have the need for it.
Yeah, in a strange way, we lose ourselves because everything becomes automative.
Yes.
I mean,
and I think, like, for me personally, I don't know about Shay, but like when I go out into the forest, if I put my hand on a tree, I feel its vibration. I don't know if anybody else can do that. I feel it humming underneath my hand. So it's very, I can't describe the sensation. It's just like if you hold a crystal, some people can hold a crystal and feel it humming. You'll feel the small vibrations. I mean,
that's awesome.
So
yeah, when it comes to crystals and stuff, yeah.
So Shay, are you very naturey yourself?
Yeah. I like to go camping a lot, actually. This summer I went to 8 states in a week and I did camping, so that was very fun, relaxing. And some of the states that I went to, like Utah, Montana, Wyoming, there's nothing really out there like how it is like in the big cities and stuff like that. So it was nice to actually see, some of the places have been untouched. Like there's actually, wild horses, and I haven't seen that in so long.
Now,
like horses that didn't belong to anybody. So.
Is this something that people would consider spiritual? Because you guys are describing details, like little things. It's nothing super big, but these are little things that we all take for granted. And would this be considered spiritual?
I believe so. I guess to me, it's more like getting down to the basics, like just connecting with its divine essence in a way. Like that is, if you want to experience spirituality, to me, take off your shoes and walk on bare grass.
Oh,
Go
God,
walk
I thought
in
you were
the
going to say
forest.
something else.
No, like, walk. Okay. Take off your shoes and walk on, barefoot on grass. Connect, and it's liberating at the same time, that you can open up all senses, just put it that way. You're walking out in the forest.
That's a good way to put it because that's awesome. When I went on a trip to like 8 different states, I was in Zion National Park, and I actually took off my shoes and went for like a mile walk along by the river, and you just feel little stuff that you step on, little vines here and there, for like a Pocahontas almost. Might sound silly, but yeah, stuff like that. Yeah.
Get in
Yeah, pretty
touch.
much.
Well, yeah, I reckon when you get in touch with nature, you're getting in touch with your inner self as well.
That's right. I recently acquired two acres for this purpose. I I have a home now. I'm looking to sell it, and I want to build small on this plot of land. And actually, the land that I filmed was part of the property. I don't know if you guys saw my 1 year anniversary Q&A thing that I posted up.
Well, I did.
You did? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that actually is part of the property. But I want to get rid of all the physical stuff. I think that's part of the spiritual journey too. Like the physical things, owning all these things doesn't matter to me anymore. What matters to me is, quality of life. I don't need to make a ton of money. I don't give a crap how much money I have in my bank account. That doesn't even matter to me. What matters is my quality of life and that I'm happy. So yeah, downsizing, being minimalist. That's become my goal spiritually. Someday you'll see me growing my own food too, if I can.
I'm sure you will. Hey, oh, all right. So, believe it or not,
That's
and people who know me know I don't have a green thumb, but I've been growing or attempting to grow my own stuff. All of it died at first, but I successfully saved the bell peppers. Those are alive. Uh, a potato is growing.
Yay!
Yeah. And I think tomato vines are actually starting to sprout up, and I have to.
Oh man,
Yeah, so,
you're so lucky.
I say go for
yeah.
broke. I mean,
Hey, there's so much food that you can regrow. Everybody throws away, like when they chop off lettuce from a lettuce head, they end up throwing it out. You could regrow that. The same way with a potato or garlic or onion. You can regrow food that you would normally throw the scraps out of.
yeah, that's what
You
I
can
did.
regrow that stuff. Yeah, see?
That's what I did. I got sick of buying potatoes. I'm sick of
That's
buying this
right.
stuff, and I'm gonna do it myself. And so
And
far,
the
it's okay.
same way with your tomatoes. Like you can slice a tomato and allow it to do its thing on, ground, and you'll get new tomato plants growing from them.
I have a question for both of you as we're wrapping this up, and it is spirituality something you are born with, or is it something that is taught?
I think spirituality is something that you come to as a result of experience, at least for me. My experiences opened me up to spirituality. So, not always, good ones, but they kind of transformed me in a sense. Um, they were, I want to say like each of my experiences was kind of like a transmutative experience where it helped me climb the ladder of my own spirituality to the point where I am now. If I hadn't experienced those things or those, whether they're good or bad, it doesn't matter. But if I hadn't experienced those things, I wouldn't be where I am right now on my spiritual journey. So to me, it was experience after experience that led me
That's a good
to spirituality.
way to put it. I think, yeah, it can be a little bit of both. For me, it was, it's kind of like a learning process for me, you know, as I get more spiritual, I learn a little bit more, so it's a growing journey that you can start off on. And as far as being born with, I mean, some people, as being young, have that sense, but for me, it's a learning experience as well.
I,
Kind of something that happens. So
and I think that is a good place to leave off. Thank you to all those who are watching, listening live. We super appreciate it. especially this being Unexplained Possibilities' first rodeo with live streaming. And yeah, there were hiccups and stuff, but I think we worked them out somewhat. And you guys definitely want to stay tuned for Sunday the 19th because that will be our second live show. And this one is going to be a biggie. Darren Evans will be returning, and we're also going to have Mr. Benny Manzo on, who's a personal friend of mine, who is a paranormal experiencer, as I call it. And for the first time, we're going to have an actual paranormal investigative team on. Ecto Vision Paranormal Investigation Team. So, EVP. I want to thank Shay and Erika. Thank you so much for coming on, especially in such short notice. I super appreciate it and learned quite a bit. And I hope you guys enjoyed and had fun.
Yeah, very illuminating. It was great to meet you, Shay.
You too. It's just meeting you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you. And once again, thank you to everyone who's listening and watching. And with that said, don't forget, guys, there are things that go bump in the night. Remember to tell them hi. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.